The purpose of interviews is so you can get research of the person you're interviewing. It gives the audience a better understanding of the interviewee. They are also so you can see different opinions on different subjects. Perhaps on a movie, something political like the rise and falls of petrol. Interviews are for the purpose of finding out knowledge and learning something you had not known in a person or a certain subject. In this interview with Jennifer Lawrence, it starts off with an indirect question, and this would be used to build up Jennifer's confidence. It is in the beginning when Jennifer does start to give long and descriptive answers. Throughout the interview, Jodie Foster does start to give indirect questions to Jennifer. This is to keep Jennifer on topic rather than going completely off topic to what the interview is about. For example, she asks, "So what's your story right now? You're headed off to do another movie." Jennifer then gives a long description of the movie she is about to do, which is House of the End of the Street. This question is also a multiple question because it is giving more than one point. It is to also help give a better answer because Jennifer would have to think about a more detailed description because of the multiple question rather than a direct question, which could be answered rather simply. The interview does start to get indirect towards the end of the interview. This could be a sign of closing the interview, and it does become more of a conversation due to developmental questions. The interview is rather relaxed, and it also feels relaxed to the audience because the host is comfortable and the guests. In the beginning, recite lines from their recent play Much Ado About Nothing. Graham's body language is upright and always facing forward to the guests. This shows that he is interested and is always listening. He states the line,
"Cousin, you apprehend passing shrewdly." What do you say?
This is a direct question, making Catherine give the answer, which she then replies,
"I've a good eye, Uncle. I can see church by daylight."
The interview comes across as quite confident because they are quite easy questions being given. The interview becomes rather hyperactive and exciting, also humorous, when David is then asked the same question to recite his line.
Bit of the play. So, Beatrice says to you, "Will you not tell me who told you so?" What do you say? It's your turn.
I do know that. I knew it earlier. I know.
Will you not tell me?
Got a prompt.
Hang on. You
Will
see,
you not
it's the
tell me who
pressure.
told you so?
Not I. No, it's not. No, that's later.
It's
No, you shall pardon me.
yes.
I won that.
The interview ends with a small conversation of Much Ado About Nothing, joking how, in fact, it is a game round rather than a play.
It's not a play. There's certainly a game show we can do about it.
Tonight, Catherine Tate, you're going for the big money round.
He always put it down because his early starts to work and getting up at 4 o'clock, and that's why you're always tired and struggling. And then when he left work and he was still tired and he was still struggling, that's when we
The
first knew.
interviewer has a good body
Steve was
language,
referred
although
for
he is not
tests
sat
on his
upright
heart.
completely,
He stopped
but
work and
is sitting
applied for
forward,
ESA.
still
At
indicating
his first
that he
work
is
capability
interested in the
assessment in
topic and the guest.
2010, wife
He
Denise
asks
was by his
indirect
side.
questions at the beginning.
What happened at that first assessment?
This is clearly a direct question, but it's also an open question because it would need to require more than a yes or a no kind of answer. The interviewee gives a nice descriptive answer.
She checked him out, she did his blood pressure and she did his heart, and she says to see a doctor as soon as.
Steve saw his consultant shortly afterwards. Within days, he was diagnosed with heart failure. Then his ESA results arrived. Remember, it was the Atos assessor who told
The interview
Steve to
goes
seek
on with
urgent
direct
medical
and
help.
open
He
questions,
was
although
past
there isn't
fit
any
for
confidence
work.
building.
How did you
You
both
feel
feel
if
when
the
you found out
interviewee
that
feels
he had
awkward and
failed?
perhaps doesn't
Shocked.
particularly want to talk about the related
Shocked.
subject.
Because what she'd said, and like I said to him, you've got to appeal now because you're not very well, you've got to go.
Steve won his appeal, but the relief was short-lived. Within weeks, he was called back for another assessment. The process was starting again.
Up and down. Up and down. up and down. That's the story of the British economy over the crisis. It's now smaller than when recession first hit in 2008. Some people here in the Swiss ski resort of Davos particularly disappointed by the news. On Thursday night, George Osborne, David Cameron and Boris Johnson were here at this restaurant in Davos having pizza and fondue. Fellow diners said it looked like they were celebrating, and they assumed that perhaps the news on GDP was good. Turns out
the interview starts off with the interviewee talking about the problems of the economy.
But Mr. Osborne insists he is on the right path.
We're not alone in having these problems. In America, they're having to confront...
But America is back. America has recovered.
Well, hold on. In America, they are confronting the debt and deficit problems, and they actually, would, I think, want to see more of the clear deficit plan that we've got here in Britain. Germany and the rest of the Eurozone,
although the interviewer does start to argue, trying to put his point across.
Over the last year.
Germany has recovered its pre-crisis peak. It's not in depression like the UK.
Well, if you look at the UK, we were one of the worst affected by what happened in the banking crisis. We were one of the most unbalanced economies. We had the highest deficit. We had
the questions are more developmental questions because they mainly start stating an argument. Because the interviewer is only giving developmental questions and has a rather argumentative tone.
Like, for instance, Olivier Blanchard, chief economist at the IMF, he said for some time that at some point, if the economic data disappoints, then the UK needs to reconsider the austerity plans.
Well,
it makes the viewer want to turn away from the interview because of the atmosphere it is
giving. The economist says you need to change your plan.
Look, the former chief economist of the IMF, Ken Rogoff, was saying only last night that Britain is doing the right things when confronted with this set of problems.
The current chief economist is saying you're on the wrong path.
You're going to get economists disagreeing, but I think the public...
But you disagree, just to make it clear, you disagree with the IMF chief economist.
Look,
the interview seems to end as it starts. The interviewer's body language is led forward, slightly up straight, that although he was mainly arguing with Osborne, he was still giving the signs that he was interested in the conversation, which is shown in the body language.
For those hoping for a lift in GDP, a stark warning from the opposition of a triple dip.